Welcome back to another episode of Mindset Monday on the Arkitect Fitness YouTube channel. My name is Tony, and today we're going to be talking about comparing yourself to other people, and more specifically, the futility of comparison. So in the not so distant past, we would have people we could compare ourselves to, but they would probably be directly related to our lives in some way, whether it be close friends, family, or people we worked with, or in this case, since we're talking about fitness, the people we might see at the gym. But now I'm going to bring up everybody's favorite subject, which is social media. And it brings all of us closer together in sometimes the worst ways. Now you're only a few clicks and swipes away from seeing everyone and what they're doing as far as their workouts, their nutrition, their vacations, their love life, their jobs, and everything else you can imagine. And in my unprofessional psychology opinion, this is not a good thing. Before we go any further, I want to point out that I'm not just talking about physiques and aesthetics, I'm also talking about performance. And this is something that I've seen affect my strength athletes in particular. And we're going to talk about that a little bit more in depth. In last week's episode, we talked about inspiration, and I defined inspiration as looking to someone to see that a thing can be done. Somebody kind of blazes a trail and makes you realize, you know what, if they can do that, I can do that too. And comparison isn't exactly the same thing. The way in which I see most people comparing themselves to others is looking at the progress people are making and thinking that they should be making the same progress at the same rate. The only problem is social media sometimes skews our perception of time. Although most people are going to put qualifiers in accompaniment with their social media posts, maybe a TBT or Throwback Friday or whatever it is, sometimes we don't always see that stuff. So sometimes someone might be posting a video of a past PR or a past photo, a past vacation, and as we're scrolling through our news feed, we don't really realize that this isn't happening right now. This is from the past, and we think, why isn't my life like this? Why am I not making the progress that this person's making? And the other thing you have to consider is that we might not always be constantly looking at the same people's social media. So while we see all these great highlights, we don't really realize that weeks, months, or sometimes even years have gone by in between these two posts that make their life seem completely miraculous. Now, I do think comparing yourself to other people is a natural thing, and a lot of us do it all the time, but you might be thinking, what's the big deal? Is it really that bad to do? Well, consider that sticking to a training program and a nutrition program can be quite difficult sometimes. So we want to try to remove as much additional stress from our lives as we possibly can. People don't often fall off their training or nutrition program when everything's going great. It's usually when there's a roadblock or an obstacle in front of them or an additional stress that really throws them out of their groove. And once they fall out of that groove, it's hard to quote unquote get back on the wagon. Because having a positive mindset is so important to success, we want to try to maintain that as long as possible. If you're constantly comparing yourself to other people, you're probably not going to feel super great about yourself, and that defeatist attitude is only going to serve to derail you. We actually see this quite a bit with strength athletes, particularly Olympic style weightlifting and powerlifting. I've seen this dozens and dozens of times. People are in the gym training and they're making good progress, but they're constantly on social media and seeing what other athletes are doing, and that makes them question what they're doing. And something that a lot of coaches will tell you is extremely important to seeing success on any training program is trusting the process. And as soon as you have that doubt creep into your mind, you are no longer trusting the process, and that is only going to send you further down a road of not making progress. The interesting thing about strength sports in particular, like weightlifting and powerlifting, is you can't really control what your competitors are doing. You're not on the playing field at the same time as they are. All you can do is your absolute best and bring your best when you go to compete. And even if you're not a strength athlete, if you're just someone trying to lose weight or just generally get in better shape, this also applies to you. What other people are doing actually has zero impact on your results. In the game of football, for example, both teams are on the field at the exact same time, and what they do affects one another. That is not the case with fitness or strength sports. If someone halfway across the country is on their way to losing 200 pounds, that's not going to affect your weight loss in any way. If you're a weightlifter and somebody else is training just as hard as you, that's not going to affect your ability to lift maximum weights for you. And this is a theme that's going to come up again and again and again in these mindset talks, but consistency and constant working towards a goal is going to be the ultimate reason that you succeed. If you're jumping from program to program, from method to method, from training style to training style, you are not going to get the results that you want. A good program done consistently is infinitely better than an amazing program done inconsistently. And a good program where you're working at it and you believe in what you're doing is always going to work better than a really great program where you're kind of just going through the motions. Now, I hate to be this guy, but I'm also going to pick on people that make excuses for just a little bit, because a lot of times comparing yourself to others is actually making an excuse. At Arkitect Fitness, we have clients from all different walks of life with all different kinds of circumstances going on in their personal lives. And some people, despite all these obstacles, train consistently and stick to their nutrition plan. And some people who don't have any obstacles in front of them really seem to not succeed. Well, why is that? As we've talked about before, I think finding your why is extremely important, but sometimes people spend too much time comparing themselves to others, and what they're really doing is creating excuses. Once you justify in your mind that you can't do something because somebody else has it easier, you've already set yourself up for defeat. Let's say, hypothetically speaking, you did have it harder than anybody else. Your schedule was crazier, your finances were tighter, your genetics weren't as good, whatever. Add a big list up, it doesn't matter. Now what? Now what do? Okay, we all recognize that you have it harder than somebody else. That's not going to help your situation. Recognizing that you have it harder than somebody else is not going to change it that you have it harder than somebody else. Comparing yourself to other people is futile. The only person you should be comparing yourself to is you from yesterday. Are you making progress within the context of your circumstances? That's really all that matters. And a lot of times when we put out these mindset videos, clients and non-clients alike message me and say, "Did you make that video for me? Was that specifically directed at me?" And I always say I never make a video for a single person, but if the shoe fits, you need to wear it. And recently I had a client tell me that although they were happy with their progress, it was really frustrating that when they walked into a room, people would look at them and not really realize how far they've already come. I can empathize with that feeling as somebody that struggled with their weight in the recent years, especially working in the industry that I do. I've seen the looks on people's faces when they come into the gym and think, this is the guy that owns the gym. And you know what? It does suck, but you can't do anything about it. And truth be told, as soon as you're removed from that immediate kind of acute situation, you're not going to be thinking about what those people are thinking about anymore, and they're not going to be thinking about you anymore. You just have to go about your day and keep moving forward towards your goal. And as it's been said so many times before by myself and hundreds of other people, social media is usually just the highlight reel of people's lives. But because we're so inundated with it, we start to believe that that's the norm. So here are some tips to help you stop comparing yourself with other people. Number 1, spend less time on social media. This is difficult to do right now, especially sometimes depending on your work. For example, I would be really screwed without a Facebook page for my business. But one strategy that I've used is hiding or removing everyone from my friends list that does not come to the gym or that I'm not genuinely interested in their day-to-day. And for me, that would be close friends, clients, and family members. The other strategy I would use is start using multiple measures of success for yourself. If your goal is weight loss, measure your weight every day. Take waist measurements once a week. Do progress photos once a month. The more tools you have to see your progress from different angles, the more satisfied with your success you're going to be, and the less worried you're going to be about comparing yourself to other people. Of course, if you're an athlete, regardless of the sport, it's pretty easy to measure your progress, so make sure you take good notes during your training sessions and keep a good perspective that way. And the last tip is to revisit your why. Why are you training? Why are you dieting? Why are you doing the things that you do? Is what people think of you really that important? Is how you stack up to other people really that important? And if the answer to those questions is yes, it is important, find out why comparing yourself to other people is so important to you. I think if you'll dig a little deeper into your why you do things, you realize that you really don't care what other people are doing. You really don't care how you compare to other people, and it'll help you stay focused on your task ahead. At the end of the day, it's important to be happy with the progress you're making and actually enjoy the process of going through whatever goal you're working towards. And in that regard, comparison really serves no purpose at all. So what do you guys think? Do you compare yourself to others too frequently? If you have in the past, what did you use to stop doing that? Or has it never been an issue for you at all? Please let me know in the comments below. We'll see you next time for another Mindset Monday.